Welcome to the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next level tactics. From offsite and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition. Now, here's your host, Timothy Carter.
Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. We're going to talk about how to write content for online readers. You know, there's no question that the internet and social media have changed the way we consume media forever. There's an infinite amount of information available to us on demand practically anywhere we are, and as a result, our reading habits have drastically changed. Some would argue this is for the better, since we now have access to more material than ever before. Some would argue that this is for the worse, as attention spans have dropped and the written word has lost its significant value. I would argue that this isn't better or worse, it's just different. Today's readers have different needs than those of our parents' generations or grandparents, and we need to write differently to please them. The way I see it, there are 7 types of modern online readers, and if you want the best results for your internet marketing campaign, you'll have to write a little differently for each one of them. First one is the blind sharer. The blind sharer is an interesting type of reader because they aren't actually a reader at all. Rather than seeing an interesting title, reading the synopsis, clicking through to the actual article, reading the article, and then deciding whether or not to share it, the blind sharer cuts out all the pesky middle bits. Instead, they glance at the title, make an assumption, and if it looks good, shares it to their followers. Some writers hate this type of reader, but they're actually quite valuable. All you have to do is write something snappier, more concise headlines, and you'll instantly start getting more shares. Sensationalism works here as long as you don't go over the top. The second one would be a skimmer. The skimmer, may be suffering from, a limited attention span, or maybe just has limited time to work with, Unlike the blind sharer, he or she will click through the article and likely read some of it, but just doesn't have the time or the patience to sit through the whole thing. The skimmer will, instead look at the pictures, read the headlines and occasionally the first line of each paragraph, check out some bullet points, and then make a judgment about the piece. For the skimmer, you'll have to have you skillfully structure your article and create, and ensure the gist of your meaning in that article can be gathered at a glance through, those headlines and the visuals that you provide that skimmer. The third one would be the board worker. The board worker is reading content while on a break from doing something he or she really doesn't want to do at the day job. Maybe they're looking for inspiration or entertainment, but more importantly, looking for a distraction. And so in order to please the board worker, your content has to pack, something of a punch. It has to be flashy and memorable, or, they'll quickly move on to something else that provides a better distraction and experience from the task at hand. Including images can be very helpful for keeping his or her focus, as well as, injecting some humor and levity into your voice in that piece. Then there's the fourth one, that would be the researcher. The researcher really isn't necessarily looking for entertainment or distraction, obviously, nor are they really interested in reading. They're on a mission to find raw information, and it doesn't matter where that information comes from as long as it's accurate. This type of reader loves detail, whether those are cited statistics or figures, or just, regimented instructions in a tutorial. In order to keep their attention, you'll have to ensure that your articles are as detailed and as formative as possible. And the more specific you can get, the better. They only want the facts, so give it to them. Then you got number 5 would be the snob. The snob is used to a high level of reading. Sometimes that means that They've read a ton of high-class literature. Sometimes that means they've attended a well-known university and works to maintain a reputation of class and taste. Sometimes that means they're arrogant and is desperate to prove how intelligent they may be. In any case, they'll only be reading content if it's long, original, unique, and extremely well written. This is the difficult balance to strike, though, as most viral articles, have a low level of vocabulary. But, if you want to appeal to this high-level reader, you definitely have to step up your game and maybe in some cases, hire professional writers. The sixth one would be the loyalist. A loyalist places a high value on the source of their information. Rather than browsing for individual subjects, the loyalist tries to find organizations that regularly produce reliable and interesting content, and then follows them indefinitely. So to attract a loyalist's attention, you have to be extremely consistent in the quality, tone, and direction of your posts. Only after a proven track record of great hits will the loyalist start returning to your site for more. But once he or she does, there's almost no stopping them. And then, last but not least, is the industry influencer. The industry influencer, they read content within their own industry for the sole purpose of getting much more involved in their community. They're looking for new information, maybe new contacts, and if your content fits the bill, it'll go a long way to boosting your reputation. To attract those influencers, you'll often have to seek them out directly. Ask them for a guest post, engage in a conversation, or ask to share your material. You'll be surprised how often that leads to an ongoing reader relationship. So, depending on your strategy and experience, you may want to weigh your strategy towards one type of reader more than the others, or work to maximize your chances at appealing to all of them. As with any marketing strategy, the key to success is experimentation. Trying new things, measuring the results, keeping the tactics that work, and getting rid of the ones that don't. Do that and you'll build a large and loyal and appropriate audience for your content in no time. And that's about it for today's episode. So if you want more information on outsourcing your blog writing, maybe content marketing, or how to increase the number of readers to your blog, head on over to SEO.co and schedule a time to have a free consultation. Learn how we can help you scale your ability to outwrite and outrank your competition.
Thank you for joining us on the SEO.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit SEO.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.